Alright guys, in the follow-up, now we get to the part where we are going to design the buttons of this calculator. So here I set a div with the ID keyboard. Okay, and inside this I design the desired items one by one. First we want to design the operators. Which ones? Yeah, that is these ones. Clear CE, that acts as backspace. Here we have percent, division, deduction, and summation. And here we have the equal sign and the number 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, and finally 0. Now we are going to write them one by one, and then in the CSS we designate a button to each one of these and write the codes for each one. So here I want to define a button. In this button I want to write an ID which is called operator. Of course, let me write this differently, because if we were to work with IDs, it would make things difficult. Here I name the ID class. It would be better to name it class. You will later on know how. We define the ID with the name clear. I call it clear, and finally the character that it needs to have or contain is this character C. When I hit the C button, the erasing operation will occur. Alright, here in order to perform things a little faster, 5 and 6, I have this here. The next item would be CE, that is backspace. It does what backspace does. Here I say backspace. It is an operator for us. We get to the next item, the percent sign, division, and finally up to here. Alright, here I set it as this character. And finally, like this, the next one is going to be the division sign. But for the division sign, we are going to use the character codes, which are specifically designed for characters. The character codes work in a way so that to have the division icon exactly on the buttons. Here we need to use the code characters. Here I say and sharp, the sign sharp 247. If you type these characters on the internet under the name character code in HTML, it would get us all the necessary codes that you can use as character codes on your project later on. The next one is the sum operations. I write it over here. Then I have the deduction operation. I write the deduction here. The next one is the multiplication. I write the multiplication here in this format. And finally the equal sign that the operators define like this. Okay. Of course, here we need to do something else. As you notice, we cannot perform the multiplication operation like this. That is, when you set this sign, it may not look right. For this, we use the character code. I say, and times, as you see, it gives me times. As you see over here, character entity, the sign that we have here. So I choose this so that I can have the multi for multiplication. So these are the operators. I set a comment for it. All right, okay, add Alright, operators. Here I say start and operators. I make a copy from it to do things more cleanly. And that's my intention in writing these codes. Here I said and, that's up to now. So up to now we have all the operators, the erasing, backspace, and finally we have the 4 operations of multiplication, division, deduction, and summation, and I can see them. And finally the equal character that is going to show me the output. Now we go to other buttons, the numbers 1 to 9, and finally 0. Alright, I say button, class, I call the class number. Now which ID should it receive? I say at first ID 7 and pass number 7 to it. But why are we acting like this? And finally we need to make some changes. Now that I have written the codes like this, these numbers need to be in between the operators. As we notice in our projects, here we have the 4 main operations, as you can see here. After that we need to start from 7, 8, and 9 buttons, and finally get to these operations. We want to have them horizontally, but if we want to have them in order, we can do that in CSS. But in order to make things easier for ourselves, after we have written the number, we set them between the operators in the HTML codes like this. That is the number 7 that I have written here, 7, 8, 9, and now the other substitutions. I just need to finish the numbers, so I make a copy of these 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and finally, last but not least, 0. Alright, here what do I do? Quite simply, I write 7, 8, 9, 9, 8 like this. Okay, the next row is 4, 5, 6 operators. I say 4, 5, 6. That's it. Alright, I set these as well, and finally 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's the last one. Let's set a space between these, and so that you get to know how they work exactly. 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I said this here. This row is not necessary. Well, these are our numbers, as you can see over here. Exactly what we have here: 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and finally, last but not least, 0. We have a 0 here. Let me add 0 as well. That's for 0, the copy pasting that I am doing. I usually call this kind of copy pasting legitimate copy pasting, something I personally use. Sometimes when I have written the code myself, I allow myself to do some copy pasting, although it's usually against the principles of being a good programmer, but nevertheless, because I have written the code myself, do this and call it legitimate copy pasting. Now what should we do? Now we want to check the other buttons like this, the 4 main operations: C, backspace, percent, and division. Then it would be 7, 8, 9, and the other buttons. Or I can cut these 3. I set them right over here, and let's see, I get a tooltip or write it myself. I say Control K C. Okay, I say numbers for instance A. Okay, that's for the numbers. What is the second one? 4, 5, 6. Let me write this like this. To have it here, I hit tab a few times and then I am here. As you see, I am doing the arrangement of the codes myself. You do your best to do it like this so that you get to know the concepts better, and any other programmer who might check them out will be able to see them exactly as you see them. Well, the next numbers 4, 5, 6 are set between these multiplications. They are set here, and finally, what do? I copy this and I paste it here. I paste it here as well, like this, a space. Now these are the E numbers. Okay, these are the numbers. These are the comments. Be careful. The Explorer's compiler does not read these. All right, 4, 5, 6. Let's check them again. Then 7, 8, 9, and multiplication. Okay, we need to set the multiplication here, so it would be 7, 8, 9. Multiplication character. I set it here. Okay, what happened? Nothing happened, only this folder was closed. I set it over here. Okay, 7, 8, 9. Multiplication 4, 5, 6. Now, based on the project, we say 4, 5, 6, the deduction sign. Alright, 4, 5, 6, the deduction sign or the minus. That's up to here. Okay, now let me set this inside the number. Yeah, so that we make things better. Alright, 4, 5, 6. That's up to now. We set this here, and finally 1, 2, 3 plus. Okay, I set it here and I delete the space. 1, 2, 3 plus. Okay, the codes, I make a copy out of them and I remove the spaces one by one so that I can work with them easily. Alright, start number C, the third row. Okay, and finally the 0 is down there, and 0 and equal are set one after the other. That is here. Well, let me set this here and then make the arrangement. Okay, add operators and let's see, numbers. Okay, here I add it to this one to make things okay. Very well, I get this completely and set it here. Let's see, where is it? Okay, it is moved here. Alright, and that's up to now. Now let me check it out. Clear backspace, person and division. Okay, I check the project, clear backspace, person, division, 789%, 789%, 456, the deduction, 456 deduction, and finally 1, 2, 3 summation. Okay, here 1, 2, 3 summation, the sign of 0 and equal is being set over here. As you see, 0 in multiplication, we have an empty here. We define this as empty so that it looks more appealing. It has a more appealing appearance. So I define an empty here. In order to do that, I say button class. I call it empty id equals the empty. Okay, I close button, empty, O, empty equals. Now these are the 4 lower buttons, that is here, empty 0, empty equal. Very well. So that's up to here. We have done the necessary operations. I set the explanation for this row. Okay, and all right, let's see, here we have D and finally D. Very well. So as you see right now, quite clearly and cleanly, we did the setup, and if you agree, we do the rest of the job in the coming session.